Welcome back, everyone. Today I have a 2014 Toyota Tundra with a crank no start. Guess we'll just walk through and figure this one out, man. It's been a long day. I'm here late, I'm exhausted, I'm hot. I now know what Mario goes through working in Florida because it's been in the mid-90s here and I'm dying. So let's get this started and get it over with. So one of the first things I always like to check on crank no starts is the security, so the immobilizer. And you see it flashing. I'm going to turn the key in and see if the light goes out, which it does, which means that the immobilizer is not set, causing the no start. So we just have a start and stall. So the first thing I'm going to check is fuel pressure on this, just because it's so easy. I have a quick connect rated at the intake, so that's where I'm going to start with this. So I'm going to crank this. Let's see how much pressure we have. Nothing really came out of the fuel rail, so I'm not expecting much. So we have about 0 PSI. So this fuel pump on this is controlled by a fuel pump control module. It pulses the fuel pump to vary the speed of the fuel pump, and the fuel pump control module is right on the frame rail, which is easy to get to and an easy test point. So we're going to check powers and grounds coming out of the fuel pump control module just to make sure that it is powering up the fuel pump. So this fuel pump control module is on the left frame rail right next to the charcoal canister. Alright, so my yellow lead is going into my red wire, which is my ground. My green lead is going into my power wire. And my ground is actually connected to a power probe all the way up at the, a power probe jumper wire all the way up at the battery, because this whole truck is undercoated and it's nothing but rubber. I can't get a good ground. So we'll try to start this up, and we will see if I'm getting power from the fuel pump control module to the fuel pump. Try this again while getting the waveform. So these pulses, these few pulses that you see, it's not a good signal to the fuel pump. This is what I usually see when I see failed fuel pump control modules. So I'm going to check my powers and grounds and my fuel pump control signal from the ECM to the fuel pump control module, just to make sure that it's not an input to the fuel pump control module that's bad. And then maybe I'll most likely bypass this to see if I can get this engine to run, bypassing that fuel pump control module. Alright, so now I have my yellow lead going into my power wire, my green lead going into my ground for the fuel pump control module, and I have my blue lead going into the fuel pump control signal from the ECM to the fuel pump control module, to tell the fuel pump control module what speed it wants the fuel pump to spin at, basically. So I'm again going to crank it, get a waveform, and we'll examine the waveform when I'm done. Try this again while getting the waveform. Alright, so our yellow trace has 12 volts on it, like it should. That's powering up the control module. Our green trace has essentially no voltage on it, which is our ground, which is good. And our blue trace has a good signal from the ECM to the fuel pump control module. So it looks like this fuel pump control module is dead, which is what I expected. I actually just recently helped a guy. A guy called me with a 2012 Tundra that wouldn't start, and I walked him through these tests and explained to him that most likely his fuel pump control module is bad. So just wanted to make a video for him and for anyone else who may run into this. But I'll bypass this and we'll see if it runs. So I have these terminals going into the connector. This goes to the fuel pump. I'm going to take my power probe and jump power and ground to it, and we'll see if this starts while I have this jumped. All right, well, let's see if she fires up. So earlier in the video, I mentioned that the fuel pump control module pulses the fuel pump to vary the speed of the fuel pump. And that just wasn't an accurate statement. I don't know. I don't know. It was late at night. I was exhausted. I don't know why I said it. But it wasn't an accurate statement. So I wanted to make a correction before releasing this video. So this first waveform I'm going to show you, the blue trace is on about 80%. I put the fuel pump control module in this truck. I got new waveforms for known goods. I did an active test and turned this fuel pump on about 80%. So the blue trace is the fuel pump control from the ECM to the fuel pump control module. You can see it's about 80% on time. Also, my green trace is my power, so I'm getting 12 volts to the fuel pump. My yellow trace is ground and I'm getting 0. So my second waveform that I'm going to show you, I active tested and it has a 25% on time. So my blue trace is only on about 25% of the time. My green trace drops down to 4 volts and my yellow trace again is ground and that's at 0 volts. So how this fuel pump control module actually controls the speed of the fuel pump is by varying voltage, which in turn raises and lowers amperage. So I just wanted to make that correction for you all because I didn't want to send out a video that was false. So I hope you all enjoyed this one. I was a little rushed making it. I had the wrong memory card at work, and I only had a 16 gigabyte memory card, which is only good for about 20 minutes of filming. So hopefully the editing goes well for this because I was filming with like 30-second increments, just trying to get it done with what I had. And it was 95 degrees and I was at work for 13 hours at that point. So I hope you all enjoyed this and I'll catch you all later.